Welcome back. This is our second segment of this interview with Chuck Niggemeyer. The first segment we talked about meetings and requirements. In this segment, we're going to talk about meeting effectiveness. So Chuck, where would you like to start?
I think I'd like to begin by talking about a couple of meetings that I mentioned that maybe you would never actually have while you're on the board. I think I'll start with emergency meetings.
Okay.
I think the very term emergency probably explains it pretty well. You can't anticipate that. You don't know when it's going to happen. But it could be a situation where maybe the health or the welfare or the safety of maybe your community or the homeowner could be jeopardized. So it's something that's going to require the executive board to make a decision and meet. Since it's got to be fairly soon, it's quick, it's an emergency, probably you can't notice that in a normal manner. Probably impractical to think you're going to mail it out. But
Right.
the notice could be sent out by email, or you could hand deliver those notices if you needed to your homeowners. Make them available in a mail room or exercise room, something of that nature. So they know that the meeting's going to occur and you get it out as soon as you can. That's about it on emergency meetings.
Okay.
I did mention earlier that we're going to talk about executive sessions
Yes, you did.
and some of those closed sessions that occur.
Okay.
So when would a board meet in a closed session? Well, if you had a problem and say you had some legal action or litigation pending on your community, you probably want to meet in a executive closed session to discuss what the problem might be and a course of action to follow.
Okay.
If you have an association employee who's a problem to you, you definitely would probably want to discuss that in a closed session and to fix the situation or maybe replace that employee. Perhaps you're having a hearing and someone's violated a governing document or something and you need to decide about what are we going to do here.
Right.
Maybe someone's not paying an assessment on time, so you need to consider that. You could also consider possible action for foreclosure information. Not that you made the decision, but you could formulate a plan of action.
Okay.
I would remind you that there will be no audio taping of executive closed board sessions. Minutes are kept, but the minutes now will only be released to those that are actually participating in the executive session. Something to remember. I would stress to you that information in executive board sessions are confidential. It's confidential information, so no pillow talk, and definitely do not talk to your neighbor about what went on in an executive session. If you do that and you violate that, you could be sanctioned by the real estate division in this state. I don't think you want that.
No, you don't want
So
that
those
to
are the
happen.
two types of the special meetings that I wanted to talk about and discuss a
Okay.
little bit about that.
Okay. Well, Chuck, it sounds like you have lots of experience at running meetings. Can you share with us some hints on how to run an efficient, effective meeting?
Sure. I would tell you that your effective meetings probably start ever in front of when you ever have that meeting to start out with. What I mean by that is 3 to 5 days ahead of your scheduled board meeting, you probably will receive a board package from your community manager. And you should, as a board member, open that package up immediately, you review it, and if you have any questions, call your community manager then. Get those questions answered, because the last thing you want is to show up in the meeting, you have that question, you ask your community manager, and maybe they can't answer the question. So they're embarrassed, you're embarrassed, and that meeting effectiveness goes away right
Not
there.
good.
I would encourage all the rest of the board members also to do the same. So if they have any questions, those can be answered. And the other reason you need to review that package is there might be a mistake that needs to be corrected. So you want to have that fixed before you have the meeting. No bad information to be given out. Ascertain, if you can, all the board members that are going to be at the meeting. It's important because you need a quorum. And why do you need a quorum in a lot of cases? Well, if your attorney's there, you don't have a quorum and you can't have the meeting, you're going to pay him anyway. So think about the expense that's involved. If you have guests coming, let's say you have a vendor that's going to come and maybe submit a contract in the future, and they want to address your board. So it's good to let them know the time and the place of the meeting. So if you follow the type of an example, I think you'll make your meetings much more effective.
Okay.
Before I move on, though, I would like to talk a little bit about how you orientate the meetings and how you set up protocol and thing. How you orientate, you know, it's important that people understand how meetings are organized. And I'll start back with the executive board session again. So if that's occurring, normally you're going to have your board members in a closed session if an executive meeting. You'll have your community manager. You may have your legal advisor. And let's say you're having a hearing, why they will be there and maybe they'll have a witness or they may have a legal advisor. So if you can put them at a table with you or kind of in a semicircular fashion, then they're beside each other and, you know, it's peer-to-peer, reduces the tension and makes the whole session much more easy. So we want to make them feel at ease. I mean, you are neighbors and you don't want to forget that.
That's right.
Now, in an open board meeting, you want your board facing your homeowners. They would be in front of you, you would be in the front of the room or the side, depending on how the room is set up. And you face the homeowners so that during the agenda item where they're discussing things on the agenda with you, they address you, the board. Then when that's finished, you conduct your business, and then the board members face each other because, you know, if you're conducting business at that time of the association. If you face your homeowners while that's going on, they think you're in a discussion with them. They interrupt you, they ask questions, and guess what? The meeting effectiveness goes away. It's important to get through a meeting, if you can, in 2 hours. And if you don't have control of the meeting, you know, you've lost the effectiveness. So it's just one of the things you need to be aware of. And then we come to members meetings. That's completely different. In a members meeting, everybody gets to talk, okay? So the chair should recognize each speaker as they want to get up, they address the board, and then when they're finished, everyone is finished, then you can allow follow-up questions if you want to. Again, it becomes a timing factor now. You got to realize that you may have to limit discussion at times. So when all the homeowners have finished, then you, the board, can respond to them. And if there are questions that come up, fine. You know, you answer those questions. And it's just one of the ways that you need to be sure you close that loop. Either you answer the question, and if you can't, then let your community manager, you know, write them down, get back to them to be sure that they know that you care about that. You know, there are a lot of things that affect meetings, and one of them I might mention is NRS 116. Okay.
What is NRS? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't understand that.
That's the Nevada Revised Statute 116. That's the actual chapter.
Okay.
And you can see on the slide there are several of those listed that board members probably need to become familiar with. You're not going to memorize them. I don't think I could. I mean, you're not a lawyer. Well, you could be and be on the board. Probably you're not. But it's better if you have that NRS with you, like I said a minute ago, and your governing documents, which would be something of this nature, then when questions come up, you certainly can answer them, because sometimes people say, well, why is that? Well, the answer is right in front of you. If you have them, it's easy.
Yes.
You know. So pretty much that's the way we conduct meetings and the procedures in there.
Okay.
There's a couple I would like to point out. You'll see one up there listed 3108. That's the one that covers the frequency of meetings, and also it covers the fact that people have a right to speak at the meetings or audio tape them. At 31084, I believe is the number I remember, is how board members would vote and abstain from voting. 3187 would be the rights of people to have items added to the agenda if they wanted to in the minutes. And the last one up there, that 3109, that's quorum requirements.
Okay.
You know, so it outlines what's a quorum and how you conduct your meetings.
Okay.
Other than that, that's pretty much it
right.
on the rules and the regulations for meetings.
All right.
I think I'm about ready to take a break. What do you think?
Okay. I think that's a good idea.
All
We'll
right.
take a little break and we'll be right back.